This is going to be a book talk about the war that saved my life. This is an awesome book. It's a Newbery Honor book. It takes place in London during World War II. The main character's name is Ada, and she has a club foot, which is basically a disability that prevents her from walking properly. It's incredibly painful. She also is growing up in a really abusive household. Her mother just treats her like garbage. And what happens is the Germans are bombing London. And so the children in London are being forced to evacuate and go out to the countryside and live basically in foster homes for their safety. And Ada and her brother kind of have this opportunity to leave London, and that's kind of where the story goes. You get to see Ada grow as a character. On the surface, it's about a young girl who ends up like discovering a love of horses and horseback riding, which on the surface for me would seem like something I would not enjoy. But truly, I did like this book a lot. It's very realistic. It has some history in it. It has some mystery in it. And it's a great read. And I'm going to read a short excerpt from the beginning of the book right now. And I'm going to apologize in advance because I don't really have much of a British accent. Chapter 1. Ada! Get back from that window! Mam's voice shouting. Mam's arm grabbing mine, yanking me so I toppled off my chair and fell hard on the floor. I was only saying hello to Stephen White. I knew better than to talk back, but sometimes my mouth was faster than my brain. I'd become a fighter that summer. Mam smacked me, hard. My head snapped back against the chair leg, and for a moment I saw stars. Don't you be talking to nobody, Mam said. I let you look out that window out of the kindness of my heart, but I'll board it over if you go sticking your nose out, much less talking to anyone. Jamie's out there, I mumbled. And why shouldn't he be, Mam said. He ain't a cripple, not like you. I clamped my lips over what I might have said next and shook my head to clear it. Then I saw the smear of blood on the floor. Oh, mercy, I hadn't cleaned it all up from this afternoon. If Mam saw it, she'd put two and two together, fast. Then I'd be in the soup for sure. I slid over until my bottom covered the blood stain, and I curled up my bad foot beneath me. You'd better be making my tea, Mam said. She sat on the edge of the bed and peeled off her stockings, wiggling her two good feet near my face. I'm off to work in a bit. Yes, ma'am. I pushed my window chair sideways to hide the blood. I crawled across the floor, keeping my scabbed-over bad foot out of Mam's line of sight. I pulled myself into our second chair, lit the gas ring, and put the kettle on. Cut me some bread and dripping, Mam said. Get some for your brother, too. She laughed. And if there's any left, you can throw it out the window. See if Stephen White would like your dinner. How'd you like that? I didn't say anything. I cut 2 thick slices off the bread and shoved the rest behind the sink. Jamie wouldn't come home until after Mam left anyhow, and he'd always share whatever food there was with me. When the tea was ready, Mam came to get her mug. I see that look in your eyes, my girl, she said. Don't start thinking you can cross me. You're lucky I put up with you as it is. You have no idea how much worse things can be. I had poured myself a mug of tea, too. I took a deep swallow and felt the hot liquid scald a trail clear down to my gut. Mam wasn't kidding, but then neither was I. There are all kinds of wars. This story I'm telling starts out 4 years ago, at the beginning of the summer of 1939. England stood on the edge of another great war then, the war we're in the middle of now. Most people were afraid. I was 10 years old, though I didn't know my age at the time. And while I'd heard of Hitler, little bits and pieces and swear words that floated from the lane to my third-floor window, I wasn't the least concerned about him or any other war fought between nations. You'd think from what I'd already told you that I was at war with my mother, but my first war, the one I waged that June, was between my brother and me. Jamie had a mop of dirt-brown hair, the eyes of an angel, and the soul of an imp. Mam said he was 6 years old and would have to start school in the fall. Unlike me, he had strong legs and 2 sound feet on the ends of them. He used them to run away from me. I dreaded being alone. So that's just a short taste of the war that saved my life. You should definitely check out this incredible book for yourself. Happy reading.